Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where there's a little bit of weirdness going on here. I think we might have actually recovered the wrong object in the last episode. So specifically, when we recovered, we had that kind of wonky crash landing, right? And we just hit the recover button and we didn't actually look at the debris that was left over. If we go into the tracking station here, I hope I loaded up the correct save. Yes, I did. I had previously gone through this and was surprised at this here, and I recovered it, and I wished I hadn't. So I reloaded the original save, but there was an auto save that went in. This is the correct save though. So these would be the 3 engines that detached, I believe. These are just debris, and so we can just clear them out. We're not going to get anything from that. But I want to actually fly the P-34 truss module because this is the actual shuttle. I'm not sure what we recovered at the end of last episode, but it was not this, which is fascinating. Wait, this is a P3 P4 truss module. This is not the P5 truss module. We never actually recovered the P3 P4, and that's why we didn't have Jeb, Bill, Bob and Valentina in the flight. Okay, this is making so much more sense now. Yeah, we never actually recovered this. Okay. Yes, I've figured it out. Fantastic. So we're going to recover that. That's going to be like 100,000. So that's very solid right there. No doubt about that. Not like we're having particularly large cash issues at the moment. We're doing fine on that, all things considered. But I'll not say no to another 100,000 in cash, and having Jeb, Bill, Bob, actually show back up would be nice. So at this point, we're going to be launching, I believe, the S3, S4 truss segment, right? So we need to think about exactly how that's going to end up being mounted. So let's hop into the tracking station here. And let's hop up to the ISS. And in the meantime, I want to pull open our ISS configuration here. So taking a look at this, right? We just put up the P5 truss. So next is going to be the S3, S4 truss and solar arrays. That is just the polar opposite of what we have on this side over here, right? So this is the P3 truss, and then this is the P4 truss, this is the P5, and the P6 truss is already lifted. It's currently mounted over here and will need to be moved. So we're going to want to have this be lifted, and it would be docked up from the opposite side, right? Because on this side over here, no, wait, this should be completely reversible. Shouldn't it? Yes, it should. We don't have to worry about the thermal control systems. The only thing on it that might not be reversible would be the placement of these thermal control systems here. But we can just move those with a spacewalk if we need to. So honestly, with the P3 truss module here being completely reversible in that regard, well, we would be coming in from this side, right? Yeah, we'd be coming in over here, but it would be on this side here. So this would still be the docking port that links it in. So if we look on this side, it's actually not completely reversible. Is it? No, it is completely reversible. 100%. Okay, now that we've got that figured out, we know that we don't need to make any major modifications. So we can just head back to the Space Center because, yeah, we don't actually care what side we dock this to, in theory. Now, there is that alligator hinge there, but yeah, that should be absolutely fine. 110%. Let's just head on back. We don't need to make any major modifications to that. We'll just rename it and lift the P3, P4 truss as the S3, S4 truss. Because, yeah, that should be exactly the same. I want to, while this is loading in, take a quick look at the integrated truss structure here. So, looking at this guy, right? This is going to be the S1 truss segment, which we've already put on. This is the S3, S4 truss segments here. There is the ELC2 and NICER, which get added onto here, as well as the alpha magnetic spectrometer, ESP3, ELC4. Those all get added on the starboard side. And, I mean, on the port side, the ELC1 and ELC3 get added on too. So that's not necessarily going to be a problem. we'll be able to just put those on. Those are small components. And of course, iRosa is the upgraded solar modules, and we'll get there as well. So yeah, I think it's literally just the same thing. It should be fine. We're going to hop into the VAB here. We're going to grab our P3, P4 module, rename it, and up we go. If we need to move around the existing radiators, we can, but I honestly don't think that's even that big of a deal. But we can do that whenever we want, so that's fine. We're going to find the P3, P4 truss module. There we go. And this guy is already all folded up. I do want to make sure that the hinges here are motorized. Thank you very much. So we'll make those be motorized. Phenomenal. And beyond that, was there anything else we wanted to change here? Well, yes, actually. We want to remove this. If I can grab it. We want to remove this as what we're connecting to, right? So what I want to do here is take this docking port, duplicate that. Then I want to take this out. We would remove the decoupler here. We would put the docking port in, although it's going to be easier if we just fold this out. So the only thing that we need to change here is the delivery mechanism, and we'll just have it be docked together. So it'll be something like this. Now, when we grab this, it's going to be this modular girder segment that's the root part here. So, to that end, we're going to duplicate this guy, flip that around, and then we want to attach this out over here, but not in this direction. Okay, I want it to attach not to that side of it. So let's turn snapping off for the moment. Yes, about here. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this Clampetron docking port. This Clampetron docking port remains where it's at. And we know that this is now, like, inverted. We're going to have to move this over, but that's not a big deal. So from here, yes, this docking port should now be the root part for this whole thing. Perfect. So now we're going to move this guy to be about here and then about here or so. I want to make sure that this is lined up okay. Cool. Something about like that, and then we can move it in to be about here, maybe a bit down. Yeah, somewhere around there. And then this overall structure is going to have to move over to the other side because we are actually inverted here. So we did actually turn this thing around. So this does need to move in about like that so that it fits in nicely in theory. Okay, and we're going to have to re-strut it. That's not shocking. Let's remove this strut, and there should be one over here somewhere-ish. Here's one. We probably only had a strut on each side there, right? And then this one here. I'm going to remove this one as well. We'll just fully re-strut it. Okay, so now we're going to set this target angle to 0. Check for clipping. Looks good. Okay, so it fits in there nicely. I do want to strut this in here. And I want to strut it in here. And finally, somewhere out over here. Do we actually care where? Not really, per se. Okay. Clipping? No clipping. Phenomenal. Now, we can think about like the weight distribution here, but it should be pretty decent, all things considered. And we did actually manage to get this thing mirrored, even though we weren't actually trying to. So that seems okay. S3 and S4 truss modules. Excellent. And if we need to shift anything around, the only things here that are not going to be symmetrical on the, it's going to be the zenith and the nadir side, I believe. No, the fore and aft side. The only things that are not symmetrical on the fore and aft side are going to be the thermal control system here. I want to double check that. Is that fore and aft? It is. I got that right. It is the fore and aft side. So these thermal control systems are the only thing asymmetrical in the fore-aft direction, and we can move those manually. I want to just make doubly sure that we motorized our hinges here, and yes, we absolutely did. I just want to make sure that those didn't get reverted somehow. Now, that other hinge is in here somewhere. If this one is motorized, then this one almost certainly is. But let's grab it here. Yep, looks good. Okay, I think we're ready to launch this thing. So let's put it out on the pad, and let's get ready to go. Took a bit longer to get that ready to go than I had hoped, but we do manage to, I think, save a little bit of cost here. We don't have the decoupler anyway. It's not like that's expensive, but we do save a little bit of cost there, and it should be a much, much more reliable deployment mechanism. In theory. Okay, so 422 is not our target height here. This looks like this reverted back again. So we're going to go to 200 and do not skip circularization. We want to set the ISS as our target. We will launch into plane of target. That'll be in about an hour. Okay, let's head on forward. So as we warp here, it looks like we're going to finally get a daytime launch, I think. Oh yeah, that's definitely going to be a daytime launch. No doubt about that. And we're going to be launching in, well, about 12 seconds. Phenomenal. Double checking staging here, making sure that's all good to go. Looks like it is. This is not a complicated staging rocket, right? This is not very difficult to stage. No doubt about that. Can you go away, please? There we go. Cool. Okay, so off we go. And that is, of course, absolutely phenomenal. The real question here is, how are we doing in terms of lifting here? The answer is, what am I even talking about? How are we going to do in terms of lifting? We're going to do absolutely fine, is the answer. Of course we're going to do fine. Why wouldn't we do fine? This thing has been absolutely a workhorse. It's the landing that's going to be the problem, as usual. So let's take a look at how long it's going to be on our SRB burn here. Yeah, we've got plenty of time here. We're going to have to detach our SRBs, as usual, at about 2 to 3 seconds. You can definitely set up the auto stage for it, but I'll be honest, I've never been able to get this to properly work. I know you can do it, but I don't know how exactly. We're going the correct directionality this time with our fuel tank on top. That's excellent. It doesn't matter if we go the other direction. It's just mildly awkward. Cool. So, the station is no longer targeted. We'll set that as our target. I'm sure we're launching into an adjacent plane anyway. Yeah, we can see we're launching into a reasonable plane. I don't know why this untargeted, but sure. That's reasonably fine. What is this that's down here? S3 truss module debris. Landed at launch pad. Why would we have debris at the launch pad? That's a little spooky. Did we leave? Oh, it's probably the stabilization towers. Those will go away. That's fine if that's the case. I've never noticed that before, if that's true, though. Interesting. Well, we need to get our SRBs out of here. There we go. That was the timing that we were looking at for the SRBs. And due to our thrust offset, they are always going to go a different direction than we do. Wonderful. At an apoapsis height right now of about 50 kilometers. We are picking up a bit of a rock here, but that, of course, is because we need to turn our gimbal limit down to 33. There we go. No problem whatsoever there. We're now much more steady. And our surface speed isn't the greatest. I want to go into orbit mode here. Yeah, there we go. Phenomenal. So we can now see our orbital velocity is very close to lined up with the trajectory of the station. That's exactly what we want to see, of course. And we're just going to go further above the horizon here because we're at that sweet, sweet 20-degree angle with those engines. Wonderful. How much fuel do we have left in these big orange tanks? Quite a lot is the answer. We've still got about 2/3, or, well, we burned about 2/3 of the fuel out of it. We've got about 1/3 of the fuel left, which is a lot at this altitude. You can see here, we've got about 2 kilometers per second in this tank alone. So that is absolutely wonderful. And we can see we're basically launching to target here. I kind of wonder if we're in a good position to just launch into a rendezvous. I'm going to skip circularization here. Let's just bring our apoapsis height up, because we're heading basically right at the station right now. Station is right up over here. Now we're going to have to overshoot the engine, a little, or rather the station a little bit, because we are not at the correct position right now, right? We're not at the correct position at all. But, I mean, we're going to be moving faster than the station because we're in a lower orbit. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. We're definitely pulling off of the station here. We'll see how that ends up going. We'll just bring this up to 200 and see if a circularization burn puts us into a reasonable trajectory for the ISS. I kind of doubt it, but we'll take a look. You never know. I mean, unless you know. It just unchecked that, but sure, that just changed on me, but it's doing what I wanted it to. Perfect. So that's looking fine. We can see we're half a degree off in our ascending node. I don't care about that. Let's just push this up and see what that looks like. I mean, yeah, that's not bad. If we were to burn it sometime around here. Yeah, decent timing. I don't want this normal burn in here, but decent timing, all things considered. I don't want to wait in orbit. I want to burn this around then or so. 12.8 kilometers separation. This is 56 kilometers separation. And this here would be about 38 kilometers separation. Sure. We can just pin this guy open here. 9.3 kilometers is pretty workable, but we can dial that in. So that would end up being sometime around 6 kilometers there or so. A little bit of radial dial, or rather a little bit of normal dials that into within 1 kilometer. Yeah, this'll do. Let's go ahead and align to that node. Do we want to switch over to orbital mode at this point? I think we do. We can kind of skip our circularization, get that for free here, and we can just jettison this tank, and it'll actually clear itself out. We won't have to clear it. And Bill can EVA and get ourselves set up for orbital flight now, which would be great. So we're just going to head on over here, overshooting that a little bit. We're still turning quite a lot, so we'll just grab on here. Are you actually aligning to the node? Please align to the node. Thank you. So while we're doing that, we are going to grab these struts out of here. So we'll just put one here. We'll put one here. Really doesn't matter where they go for now. We'll grab this guy, and we'll grab this guy, and we'll grab this guy. Cool. I don't care where you go. Please align to that node. Thank you. Are we going to hit the tank here? No, not quite. We do, of course, need to set this target angle to 0. There we go. Now we're basically pointing at the node, and we can just strut this back into place. So 1, that did not go correctly. Let's try that again. There we go. Internal strut will work just fine. So 2, and then we'll get a third one out over here. 3, and I'm going to grab this strut for our 4th. Okay, we'll have this be an internal strut as well. Cool. That'll do. So we can let go here, and we can make our way back inside. We are now set up for orbital flight, but we probably should thrust limit this thing. Do we have the time to thrust limit it right now? Well, we've got 3 minutes until the burn. If we were to turn this down to 10% thrust, how long of a burn would that end up being? Wow, that one took a little bit to dial in. Probably would be better if I used the number mode, but that sounds like work. So we'll do something like that. Okay, yeah, plenty of time. Please align to the node. That would be nice. Okay, so over to the node we head here. And yeah, this is reasonable timing for the rendezvous. I like it. So we're going to warp on forward. And of course, we're going to be at a pretty big relative speed difference, right? Actually, 143.8 is not bad. And it'll actually be this interception that we care about. So 181.3. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to rotate our wing like this. on the off chance that we end up hitting. I don't think we will, but we can warp forward a little further. 30 seconds, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Excellent. Off we go. This will be about a 54-second burn. We don't need our ascent guidance anymore. Not that we needed it to begin with. It's just convenient. Cool. About 20 seconds left in this burn. 10, and coming out of physics warp. 2, 1, and this is pretty close. That'll do. Okay. So how are we doing on that rendezvous? It's going to be this rendezvous that we care about, 2.1 kilometers. This one is going to be a separation of 69.3 kilometers. And we're going to warp on over. Okay, we don't care about this rendezvous at all. That's not the one we're targeting. Cool. Let's move into target mode here. Where are we in relation to the station? We should be coming in at the station, right? I think. Yeah, station is towards Kerbal from us. Out over here. Gotcha. Okay, so I want to be over in, I think, anti-target here. We're moving at 182.1, and we don't have a lot of correction to do here. So I want to just kind of push this node out this direction. Cool. Let's get that corrective burn done. This looks good in terms of angling. Maybe up over here a wee bit. About there, but we need more horizontal correction. So we'll just position it about here. That's good enough for now. Let's go over to relative velocity minus. Phenomenal. We can see that now we're 0.1 kilometers apart. That was a really solid launch, all things considered. Like a really, really solid launch. Very little delta V as well. I like it. We can open up our cargo bay at this point, of course, and make sure that everything in there is intact. It should be. Absolutely should be. We are about 5 kilometers out right now. I'm going to start our braking burn. We're moving at 124 meters per second. I'm going to start our braking burn, I don't know, maybe like 2 kilometers out. Like once we load in the station. That might be too quick. I'm not sure. Might be letting this go a little too far, but we'll find out. So the station is going to load in now. And begin burn. There we go. As soon as we got the station loaded in, the frame rate, of course, absolutely tanked. That's to be expected. And our burn is looking okay. Actually, it looks a little bit too fast. So to that end, I'm going to do a little bit of correction up over here. Cool. There we go. That'll do for now. We don't want to be, like, exactly on target, right? But we can drift in a little bit closer here. Boy, this frame rate is lower than usual. Well, it seems to be a lot better when we save and reload with the ship already here. It seems to be loading it in that gives us the problems. We're about 600 meters out right now. And we can just come on in. We're going at about 25 meters per second. Once we're down to about 250 meters, I think we'll drop that speed down. Okay, so that's 350, 300, and 250 meters. Dropping the speed, we're going to take it down to like 5-ish meters per second. I guess 4.4 is where the frame rate put it. Okay, sounds good. So we know that we're going to want to be on this side down here, right? Can we select this as our target? I can highlight it. But it doesn't look like we can quite select it. Maybe that's the wrong thing, though. Oh, this frame rate is abysmal right now. Definitely the game needs a restart. Okay, set as target. There we go. And just slowing us down. Oh, that was a little too much. Okay. Yeah, overshot that. Frame rate is making this difficult. This is... I don't know what frame rate this is, but it feels like... 10? Something like that. It's unusually low. No doubt about that. And so we're not really going to try to do too much from here because, oh, this is almost unusably low. Okay. Yeah, this is not normal for it to be this low. Just be on kill rot, please. Okay. From here, I want to move in at about 0.5 meter-ish per second. There we go. And now let's roll over so that we are facing like this way, right? Okay. So from here, I'd like to move us down a bit to about here. We want to be around here, right? So let's do something like that. It's maybe a little too much on the downward vector, but we can see that we have a decent-ish angle here. Gonna have to come this way a little bit, but all things considered, that's not too bad. Okay. We definitely don't need additional downward speed, I don't think. Maybe just a teeny tiny amount. I'm a little worried about our tail clearance here. I'm actually quite worried about our tail clearance right now. Yes, tail clearance is going to be a problem. We're going to need to bring this down to about here, basing it off of our nose position, not off of the target position. I want to just point the target. Actually, I do want this to be a little below target, don't I? I do. So we're going to position it about here. Okay. There we go. So at this point, I want to bring it back up to here. So we're just going purely straight. And we've overshot a little bit. So let's just bring this to a halt. And then we'll deploy this next episode. And restarting the game should give us a significantly better frame rate. So I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here. I'm going to go slightly backwards, but a cut goes in here, and next episode, we're going to get this thing deployed. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar. I'm just thinking here, how are we going to deploy this? It's going to be interesting. Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time, where we're going to ask the question, how are we going to deploy this backwards? We'll need to flip it around again like we tried to do before, and that went badly before. We'll see how this goes.